Right, I'll be referring to a few little notes here as well. So our first little clip, I'm going to show it here now, and I'm going to let the lads have a look at it for a couple of moments, and we'll see have we any reaction. So I'll ask you also, just watch the clip. It's about 2 minutes long, and just note down any coaching points that you notice. Just tidy it up a little bit better here out for you. Now again, apologies if the screens are jumping on any of you, or if the video is slow. There's nothing really we can do about it, only struggle through it. So let's watch this one anyway.
Second folk in the word of Fat Lahama, put him off Potter, Trella Potter Ash, and Kerlimley of East, and Captain, which is Justice Moss, down the chapter after East, but she Potter Jones, down the Bullish O'Hara. Mike Foley, Jonathan Teeth Canis, Trasta, throw Alan Dempsey, Fogarty Dempsey, Adrian Breen. Shinneer to Adrian Breen, Shin, score, 8 of the Adrian Breen. Potter Ash, Korish, we see Shin Hurst, High King. Peter Casey, Chastrasta. Peter Costa go hauling and Chin Costa gone in strokes as Jessica. But yes, not that. Queen I guess the summer. When I'm not in a train, see who the
Now I just want to turn off my camera there, folks, for a second, myself, and I might just allow us to see a little bit more. Now, this is where the fun starts. So, lads, I just hope that you have seen that now, and you can hear it in the background there. I just start there with Damien. Did you actually get to see that?
I did, Martin. It looks like footage there from the 2015 All-Ireland Club Final, Cushendall and Na Piarsaigh and Limerick. I suppose just the few little pointers I put down was like the forward play and team play of Na Piarsaigh was far superior. I'd have a question mark over the defence of Cushendall. They weren't touch tight, and I just seem to think Na Piarsaigh had a lot of space, and there'd be a question mark over the marking. So they're just a few little things I spotted in a coaching context there in the last minute or two.
Okay, Damien. So what I'm going to ask you now, lads, the rest of you, just ask for one thing. If you saw any one thing that might have stuck out, that if you were over either of those teams, you might bring to the field the next night. So, Cahill, just hitting you there to start, just as a football man, was there anything at all you might see there that you might think might merit a bit of work and training?
I suppose I would have felt that it was very positive play. I thought there was great pace in it, high fielding, and the ball winning in front was really good. I suppose Damien questioned the defending there, but I would have thought they were all out in front of their men, and I'd be working on that again the next night in training.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Keep doing it.
Thanks for that, Dara. Or Dara says, Cahill, thanks for that. So, high feeling and out in front and pace. Okay, Keith, up in Cavan. I'm not sure how your connection is. Could you see it, Keith?
I could see some parts of it. To me, the out in front, the players out in front as well, was what stood out to me. They seem to be making the space for themselves.
Okay, Keith. Right, folks. I could stay a night on this clip, and you know, the clip is just over a minute. There's so much in it, and Damien there in particular would have seen me working on this one before, and I could literally spend a half an hour on it. But I'm going to move it on now. The question I have put to people with this is, okay, there are several coaching points in it, but I put them together for a particular reason, and amazingly, the football man is one of the few that actually came up with the reason I put them together. And the reason I put these ones together is to give great example of the importance of being out in front for the ball. You know, down the ranks, you know, down in your line B and your line C and down the ranks, being out in front is not maybe critical, because some guys will miss a ball, or even if they get the possession, they mightn't do any damage. But as the levels go up, if you give away possession, it's game over. So The main reason I put those ones together was to show the importance of being out in front. But I suppose as a side attraction of those, what also came out in this one was the absolute top-class striking ability, in particular of the Piercing. So I'm just going to roll it on here now again, and you just watch the importance of being out in front.
Donald Trump will speak.
There we have now, we'll say, if you can see it just down there, the Piercing man is out in front. Then, you know, that's game over, really. That's game over at that level. And we have out in front. Out in front again, and at that level, when the touch is good. So again, getting back to the essentials, the first touch has to be vital. The striking then comes in. The striking, the ability of strikers. If you can't strike, well then having the possession is no real use. And ball in again, out in front. Okay. And the striking ability.
Mike Foley, Connacht to Teeth Canis, Trasta, throw Alan Dempsey, Fogarty Dempsey, Adrian Breen. Shinanir to Adrian Breen.
I've said before, and Damien has said it, and Dara has said it, folks. You know, the key elements of coaching, the key elements of hurling, the key elements of training, striking. If you can strike, you're dangerous. You'll be picked on any team. If you can't strike, well then you got to get back and work on it. So, I mean, these little clips are just showing that.
Shin score, 8 of Adrian Breen. For Teresa Corish, we see Shin Kurshah Cahill King. Peter Casey, Chuck Tresta. Peter Costa Hall in the Trent, Costa on in Strokes, or Jessica. Oh, yes, not that. Queen, I guess, the summer. Okay,
so, folks, again, with that one, as you see yourself, there were several other little items there that I didn't look at. So I'm going to throw up another little set to you here now. I just tied him up again a little bit more for you. Now again, we'll have a little over a minute here. So folks, I'm going to ask you again, have a look and just give me one thing, maybe when I ask you, one thing that you will spot. And again, if you can read my mind and say, why did I put these together? Now, we'll be very, very clear. Nobody has the gospel on what you should see. And I, for one, would have 3 or 4 different lads looking at a game, and I'd always be asking their opinion. And what I might miss, somebody else might pick up. But it's about, I suppose, seeing what is really, really, really important. Okay, so I let this one roll, and again, have a look at it yourselves, jot down what you see. You know, and I think by looking at other teams rather than your own, it's oftentimes better. Because when you look at your own team, maybe you're going to embarrass guys, maybe you're going to insult them a little bit, unless it's maybe fouling and you need to show up their fouls. But if you're looking for good play, and I generally look for good play, you look at maybe some of the top teams and say, look what these guys are doing. So this is what we should be doing. So I'll let it roll here.
David Breen of Guru Green or go on David Breen or August David Breen for a bit.
After Tashi Twasik Janab Gakira come in this far and appear she could dish up.
Well, I'm there calling a gal and Dempsey, but I can all in a heave the love of Claves anymore, McManus. David Dempsey, Costin and Tasco Raigo with Shane Dowling. Mr. Just Sponsik Shane. Tasha Thorpe with score. Generously Faulkner or General. Ronan Lynch attacked the Mach. Tasco over Mach. We did Kirk Kennedy. Kennedy has Liverpool with Stinterson. It's Matt Dowling, Dempsey, watching Ronan Lynch. William Dunno beyond, August for there, Alan Dempsey will check on a 3 goal in all. Roll at Todd Cheshire, Kieran Breen. There, Adrian Breen and Johan Shellham, August. Exactly over the pads. Shane Dowling beyond. For the back, here's the Shane. Renegade of Orlichin. Correct, long one again, Kevin Downs. Parathon. David Dempsey is Neil score, watching David Foss. Pass loads of Dempsey could do. Dunno, Neil score, watching Dunno Foss. Which is shocking about any card today.
Okay, folks. Adrian, could you see those by any chance?
Yes, Martin could see sporadically, but you could get a fair image of what was happening there. I suppose the main things we looked at there or saw from that is the space afforded to the Na Piarsaigh players, the blue team in it. And I suppose as the clip went on, the amount of confidence they got from knowing that they had the space and the freedom they had to play on the park, and going on the score line as well, the better they got and the more space and freedom they got, the more they stood out as being a good bit ahead of Cushendall. So that was the main things I picked out of that, just the space that the Cushendall players were affording the Na Piarsaigh players to express themselves.
Okay, Adrian, thanks for that. Ryan, if you could see them, could you see them?
I could see a bit of it, Martin, to be honest. My reception up here on the border wouldn't be the best, but I suppose it was something, what I did see was very similar to what Adrian mentioned there, just the space that the Na Piarsaigh boys were getting. You know, I suppose it's very hard for the likes of Cushendall boys, the Mark boys like that who are just constantly moving, and they all seem to be flowing perfectly well together, you know. So yeah, that was probably something similar to Adrian, what he thought of it, you know. Okay,
Ryan. At this stage, folks, just to say, and we'll see more of it as we go on through the night. It's amazing, you know, a team has to be exposed, we'll say, to they have to be exposed to a higher level in order to learn it. And that's true of even an individual player. If you have a player in your club that's maybe on your junior team and he or she are elevated to the senior team, it's going to take them a while to actually get used to the different pace. And that's the same at club level as the same at inter-county level. And, you know, how do you solve it? It's not easy to solve it until you actually get up the ranks to play those games. We would have seen with Schlockneil there this year, you know, how their game has come on so much because over the last few years they're getting those games at a higher level, and little by little they come up to it. Declan, what I want to ask you, if you can see it, is there one thing there, could you outthink me and say, why did I put those clips together, Declan, in your opinion? Just one reason.
Martin, I have to inform you that my videos weren't playing that well, so I didn't get to see them as much as I'd like to. I'm going to get myself an Ethernet cable here now and see can it improve it.
Okay, right. Well, listen, Dara, how could you view them? Could you?
I could, Martin. What I spotted was also spotted by one of our audience there on the questions and answers put up, and it's exactly what I was going to say. Na Piarsaigh always had a support runner and the use of the hand pass.
Okay. Right, Dara. Dara, you didn't hear that coming from me before, did you?
I didn't, but as I say, that came in from one of the audience now. It's up in the Q&A there as well.
Yeah, well, lads, I'm going to move that on now because, you know, as I said, there's so many clips there, we could slow them all down. But the main reason I put those together, and again, what the lads are saying is 100% true. And if we ask 10 other people, we'd get 10 other answers, and they're all true because you can pick out so many things. But the main reason I put those together was, again, to show one of those essential skills that we had at the beginning, and that's the hand pass. So I'm just going to wind you back over them again, and just in particular to focus in on the hand passing, because we're going to talk a little bit about it as well. With the ball there, and he gives a good hand pass. We could have stopped at this stage and we could say, right, apart from the hand pass, that one didn't come off, but look how this ended up, which brought in another skill. Long strike there, brought a goal to us. Okay, here we go again. Again, the hand pass. Again, sublime striking. And pass again and again. Somebody, lads, mentioned it, running at pace, running into space. A hand pass. And the strike. Oh, here we go again. And pass. The strike. Now watch again. And pass. Watch this hand pass in particular.
Adrian Brain and Johan and
Right, that one went back. Right, from there back to there. A man totally unmarked, and he can see the whole field. Then he can take his shot, or he can pass it in.
Shane Dowell will be on. Put him off. Here's the Shane. Really to Olich and Curran. Long one.
You really have to watch this one. And again, folks, you know, if your video is not showing up well there, bear with it, because the recording that we put up in the morning or tomorrow will show it all pretty clearly. Okay, so just watch this for hand passing.
Downs. David Dempsey, Neil score, Fortune David Foss. Pass close to Dempsey, good. Donoghue, Neil score, Fortune, Donoghue Foss. How can
you coach some of those things? To me, two ways. First way is you coach them separately. You coach the hand pass, but then on the other part of your training session, you play games and games and games and games. And if you're only playing a 7-a-side match or whatever numbers you have, or a 9 or a 10-a-side every night, you will develop that skill. Now, hand passing is sometimes, and we've mentioned in some of the earlier webinars, sometimes it's a skill that's neglected. And it looks easy, but it's far from easy. If you think about it, and on one of the nurseries there, Damien had guys hand passing up against the wall. He had them hand passing with balloons, maybe only a metre, 2 meters away. Now you bring that up to adult level. To be able to hand pass the ball 5 meters and both players standing, that's not always executed 100%. Now put that out to 10 meters, put it out to 20 meters, and then put one player running, put 2 players running, and then you see how difficult it is. But probably the biggest challenge in hand passing is what I would call it, to be prepared to hand pass it. So many players will win a good ball and they're not prepared to pass it. They want to take that shot themselves. And 9 times out of 10, when you win a possession, you're probably going to be marked up. I just might ask Cahill there, you know, it's probably the very, very same in football. Cahill, when you grab a ball, I would say 9 times out of 10, there's a player on you. Whereas if you have, I suppose, the vision or the preparedness to throw that ball off in a pass, that's where the scores can come. Would you have anything to say on that, Cahill?
Yeah, definitely. And I suppose the one thing out from the passing there was always a support player. I suppose the easy thing to say is that the other team weren't defending, but there was every single time in the clips there was a support runner either staying in the pocket or coming at pace to take the ball on, like that last clip.
Very good, Cahill, and thanks for that, because again, I know Damien and Dara and Declan would have heard me coming out with this before. In my opinion, there's 5 aspects to a hand pass. The first aspect is somebody has to have the ball, otherwise known as gaining possession. That's the first thing. The second thing is the person that has it has to be prepared to pass it, because there's no point having it if you won't pass it. The third thing is you have to be able to pass it. You know, it might sound silly, but if you're not able to hand pass the ball, well, there's no point in trying. So that's the third thing, you have to be able to give it. Now, the fourth thing, and Cahill touched on it there has to be somebody there to give it to. And you could say the Cushendall as Wharton marking. You can't mark a runner like that. It's impossible. If your players are running for the pass, you cannot mark them in any game. Once they're gone, they're gone. You can't drag them down. So if they're gone, you cannot mark them. So that's the fourth part of the hand pass, to have somebody to give it to. There's no point in having the ball, being able and being prepared to give it if there's nobody to give it to. And the final piece of the jigsaw then in a hand pass is the person you're giving it to has to be able to receive it. That's actually known as catching or handling the ball. And again, that's one of the essential skills, to be able to take a ball in your hand that's maybe given relatively easy to you. So again, folks, you know, we're looking at hand passing there in those clips, but what also came out in the middle, and when it comes out, every single clip nearly you look at is striking, to be able to strike, and it brings us back there to the essentials. Okay, so we'll roll on to the next little set now, and I'm just keeping an eye on the time because I'm inclined to ramble when it comes to these things. Now again, for these clips, folks, you know, I've chosen club games, and I've chosen, with saying the last one, the Piercing and Cushendall, 2 of the top teams in the country. In this one, it's Ballyhale, Shamrocks from Kilkenny and Schlockneil. And the reason I chose club teams is club players are ordinary players. You might, if you're lucky, have 1 or 2 or 3 county players, but the rest of them are ordinary players that could be from anywhere. And, you know, the skills are the skills. Whether you're a top-class inter-county player or you're a junior B player, the skills are the same. So again, with this one now, again, I just want you, those of you that can, just watch and see what you see. Okay, so we'll let her roll there.
Ist into Gomaiga. Joey Holden let Pamela Norris couple Schlitter. Matresh machte Stachenson Gofada. Agus Tresh stop a hurlower fall. Reading is Cow Moore Green meets na hard. Edro Fenley. Well, Ashen Bolta Norris again. Owen Reid. Mavola son. Agus Hanover her father and son. Oh, Mark McGuigan. It's the son of Hall International. Nish Destin stop.
Yeah, on a score there, Fod. The Christy McCaig on pucks there on Shane Real on
Reid. Fight to Hernash Egger Reid. Pass live at Daston Son. Oikshu the drum Mullen.
Vishay Geary pass a horta Adrian Mullen on Shane Forshe Hulani
Coolhe Schlachnail McCaig on her son Stachadro Shane McGuigan at Trummett Sure on Valahale. The command to Gera, a Dierig and Schlitter a hard, a Dierig, Shell of a halter. Shachuin Corraha, Lion, Les Shefflin, Pass Live, O Shefflin, Roher. Take a Dassy Stigginson, the male of Voida, Egga Shane McGuigan. To Ration, sorry, get Christy McCaig, Captain the Forna, Tour Face, score, August Shin, score, Brown, son of Captain the Forna, Christy McCaig.
Two seen to go Neil and show Christy McCaig tours on top here because Haragulan agus Hard Gadisha.
Ryan Cassidy Marshall and Buck Slash a draw a mail avoid it Turkins avoid it fan fighting shame avoid it.
Yeah, Puck Slash eat of Jock O'Brien Cassidy on Shane Rish on Lee Road. It's just pouring Shane on Lee Road. TJ can score all on a puckness there.
It's Kimmid and Kalish and so her reached Douglas.
Okay, folks, 2 minutes of videos there, and I know certainly I could spend the whole night on them. So what I want to ask you, lads, just pick out one thing that you might have seen, if you saw anything, and that's if you didn't, just pass it on to somebody else. So just to be fair there to Cahill, the football man, Cahill, did you see anything at all there that you might say was worth noting, either good or bad?
I suppose the main thing in it would be there was a lot more pressure on the ball compared to the previous game. I suppose the only one real thing I took out was from the first play with Ballyhale, there was great anticipation of the break, and then it was put over the bar. But out from that, I didn't see a common theme across the clip.
Yeah. Okay, and I tell you, funny enough, I didn't put these together with a common theme, but I found something that actually cropped up fairly often for me. But you've mentioned there, Cahill, what we might have regarded as one of the hidden skills of the game, and it was getting the breaking ball. You know, it's easy to say the striking and the catching and the hooking and blocking. They're what we call the obvious skills. But getting in for the break, and we touched on it in a couple of the webinars, getting in for the break, that is a serious skill. Okay, so I'll run down through the lads very, very quickly there. Just for one thing you might have seen, and whoever's at the end, maybe everything will be gone. So Adrian, did you see one thing there, please?
Okay, Martin. Yeah, just sporadic again. But one thing I did notice was that maybe a team that was there was the array of striking. There was a lot of striking off the back foot. The point by Christy McCaig there, the midfielder for Schlockneil, and the number 12 for Schlockneil. It was a lovely strike under pressure. There was a lot of rooks in what I saw as well. So it's sort of defining that rooks are part of the game now and have to be practiced as well. But that's the most thing that I pulled out of that. That's the only common theme I could see developing in it.
Right, that was two things, Adrian. I'm just looking for one because the boys will have nothing by the time I get down to them.
Okay, we'll go for striking off the back foot. Striking.
Okay, well I'll take striking and do me nicely there. Striking again, lads, and I want, I just know the same things that come up and up and up. Ryan, did you see anything there?
Unfortunately not, Martin. I'm going to have to pass it on, sorry.
Okay, right. Well, I tell you what, Ryan, if you get into a situation there where you can see things, just put in there and let us know. Other than that, I hate to say it, Ryan, but I'm putting you on the bench, all right?
No problem, all right.
Now, listen, folks, actually, that's good training as well. Everybody needs a bit of time on the bench. That's good training, especially good lads like Ryan, inter-county players there. Declan, you went off to get something there. Did you get it, or are you on the bench as well?
I think the only thing that I saw, Martin, has improved slightly, but of no great brilliance, to say the least, was the quick free there from Ballyhale Shamrocks in defence, and ended up being a score. Worked it up the field very quick. Every one of the Ballyhale boys seemed ready for the quick free. Yeah, that's top class, Declan. Again, alertness and ready for a free. Keith, up in Cavan there, any sign of anything?
Again, Martin, I could be going for the bench, but from what I did see was, more to Damien alluded to earlier, was the amount of rocking from the freeze frames that I did see.
Okay. Dara, over in Sligo, any one thing?
I wouldn't say it was something I saw a lot of, but the one thing that stood out to me was the ground strike and just having the ability to react quickly like that.
Right, a goal from a ground strike, and we saw a goal from a ground strike from the Piercy in the earlier clip. So again, we've been preaching that gospel on all the little webinars, the importance of having all the skills, and there we have two of the top teams in Ireland. We've shown the Shammy Callan one already, and the ability to be able to strike a ball off the ground. Now, as I've said before, how long did it take to score those goals? You could say a split second, but you have heard me saying it took about 10 years of practicing ground hurling. Damien, did you pick out any one thing there?
Well, I did, Martin, yeah. Look, to be fair, again, the technical skill of ground hurling. Dara said it there, and I'm not going to change my mind. I think it's very undercoached. Ground hurling now, anywhere I am, I never see a coach engaging with ground hurling left and right. If you remember, John tried the Offaly hurler over time at centre forward, and he just little flicks here and there in the ground, opening up the fences. And I think it's a skill that is neglected, and defences it's very hard to defend against it if you get a quick ground ball into a forward line from anywhere, half back line, midfield, even your own half forward line, moving it onto the inside line. So I'd hone in on the ground striking there, Martin.
Okay, thanks for that, Damien. And again, folks at home, you know, I'm hoping if you're getting the opportunity yourself to be jotting down the little bits and pieces. And already we're seeing there are so many things to see. So, you know, on a 2-minute video clip, you know, there are so many coaching points. But what I'm trying to get across to you is either watching the games even without videos, or taking little clips that you're remembering certain things that need to be worked on. Good examples, poor examples. Now I'm going to replay this again, folks, and I'm going to stop it several times. And just, okay, I've had a lot more time to look at these than you have, so I'm just going to show you what I've seen in them. Or, you know, well, we get to the start again. Okay, right, first one, and I'll tell you in advance what I'm looking for. The first one is there's a foul. There's a foul on, it's Joey Holland from Ballyhale Shamrocks, and there's about 3 guys around him. Absolutely no need to foul him. Watch. The whistle blows. So we mentioned it as one of the not the 7 essential skills, but we put it in as an add-in, which is unnecessary fouling. Unnecessary fouling loses so many games. So first of all there, anyway, as I said, a foul that was not necessary, okay?
Joey Holden let Hamlin know a couple of Schlitter.
Just a quick pass that one of the lads mentioned. There's the quick free. And what happens from that? Hurries it up. Long ball, folks. A long ball. Again, we've been saying, especially outside of the top inter-county teams, the short play is dangerous. Now, it's up to yourself. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just giving you my own opinion that if you're down at under 14s, under 16s, even in the strong counties, every time you pass short, you're drawing the opposition onto you. And people think that the top teams don't play it long. Well, there's an example of the All-Ireland champions playing a long ball. Now, I can assure you, when the ball goes in around there as a defender, that's where you don't want it. Cahill mentioned the breaks. Look at the 2 greens standing off waiting for the breaks, and let's see what happens. Right break into the hand. Again, you need to touch, and it's going to obviously finish with a strike.
Well, I should go to knows to get Owen Reid.
In that little bit of a clip itself, there's so much. Now, the next one. Well, watch this again. This is a foul by Ballyhale on the Schlockneil lad. So again, player on the ball. I think 3 will come in around him. So that player is going nowhere. He's going nowhere at the moment. He's certainly not a danger to anybody.
And over our father son.
Pull around the neck and the foul. And that's not a foul. I call it, that's a point. Okay? Now, the ref had a hand up. He allowed the play to go on. But if he didn't, it was a free and it was a point. And again, here we have Brendan Rodgers, a sublime score from play. How many times did Brendan Rodgers have to puck a ball in training in order to put that ball over the bar? And this is what we keep getting back to and back to. You can talk about all the tactics you like and all the plans and all the game plans, you know, but if you cannot have your players that they cannot strike, well, everything else is a waste of time, really.
Yeah, on a score.
And again, you saw a hand pass there. You know, so all the skills, lads, are coming together, and as I said, ordinary club players.
The booing Christy McCaig on pucks there on Shane off reel on beat.
Now, our next one.
Fight to Hernash, Egger Reid, pass live at Jackson Sonwick, shoe the drum mullen.
Please, Cahill didn't say that one. Did you see it that time, Cahill? You there, Cahill?
Sorry, it froze there.
Yeah, did you see that one? Richard?
Vishay Gearig, pass a hort to Adrian.
Okay, you all saw that one, boys. So, again, an unnecessary foul. So, in these clips, what's coming out from me there are, that's 3 unnecessary fouls already. Right, so we'll drive it on here again.
Ball on Shane Forshay, Hoolan.
Have the hand pass again, out of trouble.
Coolhe, Schlachnail.
This one, he wasn't blown for it. But again, you know, it is a foul. There's no doubting about it. And as a defender there, Joy, fouling, that's going to be a point.
Kay got her son Stafford, Shane McGuigan. Shane McGuigan of Trummett, sure.
As you mentioned, boys, the rucks are a torment. They're a scaldation on hurling. My advice, especially to forwards, would be stop rucking. Kick the ball out. Kick it out into space. It's not the end of the world if a forward doesn't get it. Okay, maybe the backs need to kill it a little bit more. But by and large, what's happening in rucks is you're knocking the ball off of your own player. And I think the sooner the better coaches stop sending in 3 and 4 and 5 lads into rucks, because it really becomes a lottery. And they can talk all they like about winning the hard ball, but you know, a sensible player will kick that ball out very, very quickly.
Again,
we watch here. Hand pass. Again, the use of the hand pass and the use of a bit of space.
Lion Les Shefflin. Pass live at O Shefflin.
Now, what have we here this time?
The male avoid Shane McGuigan. To Ration, so I get Christy McCaig, captain the Forney, third face, score!
Again, those little, what people call the basics of a hand pass, the basics of a strike. You know, and I would be seriously into games-based approach to training. However, you don't learn those skills in the game. You have to learn them separately. You have to learn the hand pass separately, the striking separately, and then you bring them into the game for practice. So again, to go back over what we've been saying in recent weeks, half-year session on skill development, get the skill right first, then get it fast under pressure, and then the second half-year training, you're implementing it in your games. But, you know, both players and coaches should be able to identify who can pass the ball, who can strike a ball, where are they weak, what do they need to work on? And that's the whole purpose of tonight, to try and draw that out of you.
Shin scored beyond son of captain the Forney, Christy McCaig.
There's the pass. Now again, this one is a long ball in. That's what happens. A long ball in around the house. That's where defenders don't want it. Quick ball, you can't defend it. Again, I'm pushing. Long ball, quick long ball. Doesn't give backs, don't have time to get it too organised. And a ground strike then, and away we go. Now the last one again is another little foul. A foul on a player that, you know, wasn't really a danger at that point in time. Here's the ball again.
Into the Jack O'Brien Cassidy on Shin. Rish on Leroy. It's just pouring Shay on Leroy. TJ can score all on a puckness there.
Now, here we have it. There's an arm comes around and there's a little flick on the hurl. That's a point. That's a point. Right now, that's a point. But at that point in time, that player with the yellow helmet there, it's Owen Reid, TJ's brother, he didn't have a score there. But the fact that the player fouls him, then it's a throw up the grass job. Whistle, stand back 15 metres, and over she goes. Okay, right. That's number set 3. We're not doing too bad. Okay, here we go again with the next batch.
Avoidance under the Shamroga.
Right, folks, so the same again here now. Just again, have a look and see what you see.
More Griard or Reid, Derek Fenley a Haim Shoe. Agus reached an plan Ken ag an dá an na Dirge chuirteach a Jola Hédi Fenley Reid agus Cody. No Magwigan an dá Magwigan a hastig an son an Bertica. Stig agus dain Sherach. Da Schlachne, Shachuin Farha dain Shech TJ. It's all Fenley didn't miss a
on Solar sin a stop a quick Colin Fenley agus better sin on tactic atá Schlocknail
Cassidy ma timple Laura Hart Brian Cassidy le puinte agus on the Ragra fad oh Schlocknail.
Yeah, on the top of the fad scoring to go Brian Cassidy smocked into stuff she agus Dira Coran Trasnon so toss
Lemmer to reach count Hapwig Toka Eg Oshino Doherty count Sahan Soniga Brendan Rogers Dinta Gamahiga Rogers Shachuin Rogers a relish Hashe Gelu oh sure oh Vila Hale Ha Rogers a Tourfest score into Baroida score 3-2 score unta oh Brendan Rogers
well Dortu Goptrot on Shane Arira Lewis Losrick and Brendan Rogers on Shane agus Kyle Shane Cosantori Balya Hale agus near Rev Ain Ragra Po Cunea Stoppa
Da Erner Ho score Fine on with this Fihed Mehe Byron Sposs on side Ronan Corcoran Harnash Dro captain Michael Fenley Inish Ishtach Sachu Maga Colin Fenley and so Harnash Dro Evan Shepton that's all in no Evan Shepton Dro Connor Walsh and so Walsh is I can't say Paul in her father Ho Emerton Shade Scotland son in her own read so I get Walsh and Ishapech and Keen Coimer to Allin and so Hussa and the Shamroga agus Queen to Allin O'Brien Cody on Tarnacown O'Brien Ara Corkin Gairi Gomalo Selina Lon Chuil dus na Shamroga agus Nina the Foil more on Tura Ernely Rodi Fadison.
No Neil Tashi Comfort Calor agus Tiggin Sheet go will fast
no TJ Aimshe Egg Shane McGuigan gone out Gaman Sonic Mail na Carnoiga agus Cormac McKenna Hogan Council. Ní in count Hapwig Toka shoot the Joe Sean O'Casta Nish O'Casta de le count more Griard agus Lish and Daphne Femar via Gwynsi Kedla.
Well, Cunnick on Dyer and on Ted Lahog, Bergen Yarnishi, Couplet, Ara, Lesh na him Rory, no Lesh on Mion, August the Horishin, Berger Shideg, Dunashias, and Will on Dyer and Dunashias Doi Fan.
TJ Deary count Hapwig Hogan just fired a Shin Marskill. Oh, Forest. August da Vors, Stach Sakuine. Agus Deary gon Cody of him shoot. Agus Throch Basson son, me Hishkint, Mamach Samach. Agus Fechen Keenan son score all it. Enough Mullen Fosa and Yoik and none of this Shochwin Brian Cody. Cody, Brewer shoot, agus Nish, Brewer Cormac McKenna. The Horloigan saw. Quinn and Tunnady, Connor McAllister, Dearga Hardach. Cody Arish, Cody Leshan pass live it. Cody Mackinson, Drum Mullen, go Fenley. Had the Negan in the end, or Stig, Hogan Fenley and Pat.
Okay, folks, another little 3-minute clip that you could watch forever. At this point in time, I'd just like to say, bear in mind that that game was, for all intents and purposes, a 1-point game. Colin Fennelly got a goal well into injury time to give him a win by 4 points. But from an onlooker's point of view, it was, to me, there was a point in the game, which means either team could have won it. Now, if you look at the teams involved, you Ballyhale Shamrocks going in there as All-Ireland champions, and after winning maybe, I don't know, I can't count them at this stage, at least another 6 All-Irelands. And you look at Schlockneil, and if you go back about 4 or 5 years ago, they could hardly win a game above Derry. And look at the difference. Look where they can come. And the point I'm making is, you don't know what's around the corner with your team. If you put in the work and if you address the important elements of the games, you just don't know what's around the corner. So, the skill ability there, the level of hurling there was just tremendous. And bear in mind also, that game was played in January or February. So, again, I'll ask you folks, any of you that could see it, 1 point, was there any one thing you'd pick out there that you take to the training field? So again, Cathal, being generous to you, that you're in danger of becoming a hurling coach now if you're not careful. Cathal, did you spot any one thing there that's worth looking at?
I suppose the common theme there was the long range striking and the shooting. Some of the scores were brilliant, and in particular Rogers down along the right hand side got a great score on the run. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter where you're from. You're looking at Schlockneil in Derry, you're looking at Ballyhale in Kilkenny. It doesn't matter where you're from. If you work on your skill, you can be absolutely top class. So striking again coming through. Adrian, one for you there, if you could pick one, if you saw one other element.
Yeah, on top of the striking on the run and Rogers' great score, I suppose at the early part of the clip there was a nice bit of catching, so the primary possession, and usually when they caught the ball they're either released it fast or were fouled, which turned into a score. So, and even though it froze for me, I could see that there was a lot of rucking again, and frees conceded within them rucks, and like you said earlier, automatic points if they were conceded in a scoreable area. So I suppose the rucks and the fouling at the end of it and the catching at the start.
Thanks, Adrian. And again, folks, on the pointless fouling, you'd be better off actually handing the ball to your opponent and take your chances with a hook or a block than fouling him. If you foul him, you stand back 15 metres and he gets a free puck. And I'm very serious. You'd be better off saying to him, excuse me there, friend, pick up the ball, hand it to him, and say, now take your chance, and see can you block him. Ryan, Declan or Keith, if any of you saw anything there, speak up. If you didn't, I hope you're not too cold on the bench.
No, I suppose I was lucky enough, I got to see a bit of it there. The one thing I thought, I suppose, was the sideline from TJ. That's something that maybe coaches are seem to be working on now this last while. That hitting the ball across the field with the sideline on the man to run there. I know it takes a serious amount of skill and that there to do it, but there's obviously that's something that them boys are working on in training. It didn't just happen that day, So I think we've seen TJ doing that a right few times now this last few years. So that's maybe something that teams are going to be working on over the next while. How they can create space for their forwards and their set pieces.
So Ryan, for that, so there was two things there. There was the ability to hit the ball off the ground, and then there was the ability to actually open the eyes and look and see where would be a good place to put it. So 2 coaching tips there. Ryan, while you were able to see it, I give you another shot there. Did you see anything else in particular?
I suppose I seen there was a great clip of Rogers, as the boys mentioned, going down the lane. So knowing when to take the man on, and then in the previous clip he knew just to strike it over the bar instead of going on with, so he knew when to go take the man on. I suppose TJ done the same at the start of the clip, got the ball and knew to go at them, and I suppose the likes of him and Colin were very direct that day on the day as well, and couldn't be stopped. So I suppose it's just a coaching point that players should know when to take the man on and when to maybe take the shot, And
if I ask you, Ryan, how do you learn that, Ryan? How do you learn when not to?
I suppose maybe through a bit of just experience and that there, But then sometimes, a player can't see everything when he's on the pitch, so it helps to have a man beside him or the man around him, let him know, here, take your shot, or look, I'm at the back, or you have to take them on, beat them, or that, you know. So
Yep.
I suppose you need your teammates to help you and sort of give you a bit of direction too.
Very good. And would it be fair to say, Ryan, you learn it by playing a game and training, not by drills?
Well, that's it. Yeah, learning it, and then I suppose doing what we're doing here, going over it, going over games or videos of trainings and showing boys, look at you had an opportunity to go past them there, you know, or saying, geez, should you have took that man on, you 2 or 3 men to beat, you know, when the boy's sitting out behind you in the pocket maybe for the wee pass, like we've seen when you boy from the patient. So wee things like that might speed up the learning for players as well.
All right, I've seen that, guys, so clearly is in things like the Kilmacud Sevens, where 7-a-side match, 9-a-side match, you know, you get so many opportunities. There's one player in front of you, you have the ball, and you learn that kind of stuff in small-sided games. Keith or Declan, did you guys see anything there, any of you? No?
Yeah,
Mark, we picked that one up a bit better than the rest of them. What stood out to me was the pace that they were striking and taking their scores at.
Okay.
There was nobody standing back. Every score was taken at pace.
Yep. Okay, Keith, thanks for that. And again, it's going back to what we've been recommending. And again, these are only recommendations. There's no such thing as anybody has the book on these things. But, you know, the recommendation we've been making was get the skill right, even slowly, then get it fast. And then get it fast under pressure. And that's what you're aiming for. And, you know, you will find and see, lads, we'll say Cushendall there and Schlockneil, as I said, clubs from up the country there where there aren't a huge amount of clubs, to get the opportunity to play more matches at higher levels, they very, very quickly then find out, yeah, I can actually do it faster. But you can't do it faster until you're put under pressure enough to make you do it faster. And this is where, you know, the more games you play, and if you can have in-house training, and it's up to players. Listen to the girls in Schlockneil there a couple of weeks ago. The fact that they were able to have 15 on 15 in the field almost every night between themselves, they raised the standard, and that's the key to it. Dara, if you saw one other thing there, maybe they've gone through them all.
They have, in fairness, Martin. But one thing that if I was showing that clip to young fellas now, I'd be asking them to pinpoint which was the stronger side or weaker side for any of them hurlers, because at that level it's impossible to tell, and it just goes to show that they have to be interchangeable left or right. The first 2 clips, I think that one of the hurlers dummied right and struck left, and that's one thing I'd point out from it.
Very good, Dara. And Damien, I'll give you anything left there for the Galway.
Yeah, Martin, what strikes me, you know, it's very evident there's no room out there, and that says there's 2 teams totally selfless for the team with work rate and high intensity. And you know, that goes back to what Ryan is after saying there, and Keith as well. You know, the decision making ability of the player has to come to a high level when it's packed defenses and midfield, or the middle third is packed like that. So when you have possession, you've got to make a good decision, and we saw a lot of that good decision making ability of the player there when they were under pressure. But really what struck out for me there, Martin, was that there's no room out there.
Yep. Okay. And why is there no room? Because players are closing down each other really fast. So guys, I'm going to run back over those here again now, and I'm just going to give you the notes that I have just
Martin, just before you run back over that, there was one thing that came up to me there that you mentioned at the start of this about the essentials. One of the Schlockneil boys missed a simple jab lift, which ended up being the line ball that TJ took, which ended up being a score because he didn't get it up. It wasn't executed 100%.
Good stuff, Declan. I can't beat the Boer boys for the sharpness. Lads, did you hear that? Declan, throw that out again, please.
I was saying that one of the Schlockneil boys missed the basic jab lift, which went out over the line, and in turn went on then to TJ Reid to take a sideline ball, which ended up in the score because he missed one of the basic skills.
Yep. Yeah, and we have discussed that kind of stuff up and down the country several times. Folks, any of you that have been on some of our workshops in the All-Ireland semi-final there a couple of years ago, drawn match with Clare and Galway. In the first game, one of the Clare defenders missed the jab lift out in front of the goals, and a Galway lad ran in behind him, picked it up, put it over the bar. Draw match, Galway won the replay. So what Declan has pointed out there, folks, many people don't take it on board. That simple. No, it's not simple. That exercise of being able to jab lift, roll lift at speed is so important. Thanks for that one, Declan. Right, folks, I'm going to run down through this again. First few moments of it, I'm looking here at a note about 2 long balls, winning a break, and a goal. And I also have written down here rise, which is the lift. So let's see, can I find what I wrote down about? Long ball for a start. Long ball is always a good ball. Break. Now I want to watch where this ball goes and watch who collects it, which is a catch, and watch what he does with it. Because he has a fistful of All-Ireland medals, and if he's prepared to do it, I think the rest of us should maybe consider doing it as well. That was a catch by Michael Fennelly. Now, it was unopposed in that the player wasn't on top of him. And how do you learn that? You learn that by pucking the ball up and down the field as far as you can puck it. I would say 80% of catches are unopposed. And when I say unopposed, I don't mean that the Schlockneil player wasn't on him, but he wasn't standing under him. Like, he could put his hand up and the Schlockneil man couldn't reach him. And most catches are like that. However, the opposite of catching is dropping. Okay, so let's roll it on there now and see what he does with it. Just turns and drives it in. You can talk all you like about finding men and looking for men. If Michael Fennelly had to take time to try and find a man there, he wouldn't have got that shot away. He'd have been blocked down. Now it's in around the house. Now watch it coming, and this is what Declan picked up on. Look, there's the pick. TJ straight into the hand. If you missed that pick, no score. Look at the goal, and we can talk about the goal and a great goal. But if TJ missed that jab lift on that winter's day on a slippy, greasy pitch, well then that goal would never have come. So, okay, we'll drive it on.
On Solar, she has stop a quick Colin Fennelly, agus better she on tactic attack Schlockneil.
And what looks simple, but it wasn't simple. Sublime touch, making the run. Damien said there was no space. That Schlockneil player found a little bit of space by moving in time, and his touch was sublime and his shot was sublime. Lovely, beautiful score over the bar.
Timple Laura Hart, Brian Cassidy, left pointe, agus on the Ragnar Fad. Oh, Schlockneil.
Yeah, on
here she comes again.
Scoring about Brian Cassidy, smock Dean, stuff she, agus Dira Coran Trasnon. So touch.
Very good. Okay, what have we next?
Right,
here we have it again.
Brendan Rodgers. Rogers. Shahoin Rogers a relish. Hoshegelu. Oh, sure. Oh, by the head. Rogers. A tournament score.
That's the question. How many balls did Brendan Rodgers have to put over the bar from out in the sideline unopposed in order to be able to do that in an All-Ireland semi-final with 2 or 3 guys chasing them? That's the level. And so you're coaching youngsters. That's what they got to work on. If they cannot do it unopposed, well then what chance have they of doing it up there in a big match and severe pressure on them?
Score 3-2, score Unta. Oh, Brendan Rodgers.
Well, Dortu Gottrod on Shane Arira. Lewis Losrick Brendan Rodgers on Shane. August Kyle Shane Cosentori Balya Hale. August near Rev Ain.
Now let's see what we have here. So after that score, which was a beautiful score, I think there's a little bit of complacency. Look at that. Short puck out. Shouldn't have been allowed. Short puck out, and what happens next?
Dair their whole score.
Again, man getting space, Damien. How did that happen? Hand pass. Long ball again.
Michael Fennelly.
There was no score out of that last one, but the long ball, quick ball in, the chances are there. Okay, I'm after losing my notes here now, I don't know where I am, but anyway, we'll let it run.
I get Colin Fennelly and so Harnash to draw Evan Shefflin. That's all in. No Evan Shefflin, they draw Conor Walsh and so. Walsh and this.
So what are we there? We had a bit of possession, we had a couple of passes, we had a Shamrocks player miss the first touch. Now he got away with it, he got that little bit of time to pick it again, but that could be very costly. Now in this case, we're looking at Owen Reid. He has the ball. You know, what's he going to do? Is he going to have the shot? Is he going to take on his man? What's the defender here going to do? What's the forward going to do? So let's just watch what happens. Now, that's what happened. Owen passes it back out. The defender didn't follow his man. Maybe he should, maybe he shouldn't. You know, who knows? But again, the preparedness by Owen Reid to pass the ball back out the field. And let's see what happens next.
Hall in her fad. Hoemerton Shade Scohan son idir Owen Reid.
So she went. And again, she wouldn't go over if the skill level wasn't there to do so. Now I'm looking for my notes here again. Yeah. Okay.
Walsh.
Hey, watch this one very carefully now. And we're going back to what Cathal mentioned earlier, being ready for the breaks. I'm going to stop it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, if not 5 Ballyhale men outside waiting for a possible ball. Now, watch that guy there, where he goes. Ran out behind him very, very simply. Ran out behind him, and the pass was given without thinking. How many other players would try and take that ball in themselves? So, you know, again, it's about using the space. It's about moving. It's about being available for that hand pass. And then, if the ability is there to shoot, over she goes. There's no, you know, there's no magic at all there, folks. It's actually a simple enough kind of hurling. If you keep it simple, it's just everybody thinking.
O'Brien Cody on Tarnacown over Eric Corkin.
Again, in this case, with 3 Ballyhale men around 1 Schlockneil man, and watch what happens. Did foul him. No, he didn't get the free, but they fouled him. Not enough with 1 foul, watch. To be sure, there's the foul. Now again, I changed the word from foul and I call it a point. So, had Ballyhale lost that match or drawn it, you could say there's where it was lost. And it comes down to that.
No, Neil thought he'd come forward at Galore, August taking she'd go ill fast.
No, TJ, I'm sure.
Schlockneil man going nowhere. 3 around him.
Shane McGuigan.
And the whistle go. So again, folks, you know, they might not be the best examples in the world, but these are things you probably need to look out for with your own team. Are we giving the opposition 6 or 7 points from pointless frees? You know, sometimes a free, I suppose it's nobody's fault. Two players or 3 players contesting hard for the ball, and somebody is a little bit awkward that you know you couldn't control. But when you have 3 players around 1 player, you can control that. Absolutely no need to give away that free. Now again, watch this one. Watch what happens with the free. And again, I think Declan alluded to it earlier. Now, look at that for space. So you could say earlier on, the Shamrocks were alert to the short one, but Schlockneil are equal to them. You know, it doesn't matter where you're from. They're the same skills. They're the same mentality you need to bring to it. Again, a point. Look at that for a shot from well beyond midfield. Now bear that in mind, a wet day in January or February, and he'd be on midfield and he took the shot and straight over the bar. Now, Declan, I think this could be one that you mentioned, and I had it written down here as well. Watch this one carefully, folks. Well, watch the player failing with a jab lift, and watch what part of the hurl is going under the ball. It's not the toe. Look at it there. Look at it. The heel of the hurl. And eventually misses it. So that's gone right back to raising the ball with the toe of your hurl, not the heel of your hurl. And again, that could cost you a match. Now, the lads have mentioned it already, the cut from TJ. There are a couple of things in this one.
Leis na him Rory, no leis an Mion, agus the Horace in Beir Gresh ag dúna síos an bhfuil an dáir ag dúna síos dói féin.
Looking around, seeing what's on. Now, you need every player observant at this stage. TJ's head is up. You need every player observant. But watch what happens. First of all, he executes a cut, which drops to a man here, but then you have a wing back running up the field and nobody marking him, and he eventually gets the score. Man, Damien, you might need to look at that again. Take off the glasses. You said there was no space, Damien. I'll come back to you on it in a moment. There's space. There's space. There's a wing back, number 5, Evan Shefflin, came up the field. So, you know.
Oh, first.
Now, again, watch this one, folks. And again, I'm tired preaching it. Even at the top level, I would say 99 times out of 100, get the ball in defence, drive it up the field. Okay? This player, again, trying to do, you know, maybe trying to be, I don't want to use the word clever, not clever, trying to do something really, really good. But look what happens.
I'm going to say, Jerry going Cody of him shoot.
Oh, that's a great example. And you're looking at top players here, folks. Now, you bring that down to under 14, and the player is being preached on to work through the lines and work it out. You know, this is happening at top level. So, to me, the worst thing that'll ever happen a long ball from a defender is to come back up to you again. That's the worst thing that'll happen. Okay, but here it's a point. Again, it's a point.
Keenan, Son score all it. None of this Brian Cody.
You watch and you talk about space. There's plenty of space there. But again, it's winter, lads. It's a slippy pitch. I want you to watch real carefully this time. I want you to watch Owen Reid there. And Owen Reid is probably 38 years of age there. Just watch him. You can watch everybody else if you wish. Right, that little pause and turn back in, which I wouldn't be recommending. Turned in.
There's
13 again. There's Owen Reid. Looped away. Looped away. Now he has it. And again, look, as soon as he has it, the hand pass is away. As soon as he has it. No messing, give it out. Now, watch him. Look at him there. And the play comes back in this way. Owen Reid has gone out of the picture. He's gone out of it, folks. Play continues here. And this is how lads think. Now, watch, I think that could be Colin Fennelly here. You know, where's he thinking of going? So, the message you're trying to get across there is everybody has to think every second of the game. Oh, there's 2, 3, you could say there's almost 5 Schlockneil players around that one player. Now that's all is dangerous. And you have more than one-on-one. Now sometimes you have to do it, it's dangerous. Loose man out here. If this guy is prepared to give the pass. If he's not prepared to give it, well then no point. And he does give it, and he was hooked. Now look at Owen Reid where he's after coming. Look, he was off out of the picture a moment ago. Look at him now. Look at him ghosting in like a pink panther. Look at him, hurl up. And if he was seen, if the pressure was on, lads, that could have been a goal. Nobody sees him in there. Nobody sees him. Okay, it's a point. Right, Damien, I just, not being smart was around, but you thought, looking at it first, there was no space. Would you... Far be it for me now to ask a Galway man, would he like to change his mind?
No, the earlier clips, no, Martin. First half clips, there seemed to be more energy in everyone. For sure there, the second half, it's opening up a lot. And there's a lot more running off the ball and support play there as well, which, you know, makes it easier for a lad in possession there to work with. But no, look at what I'm seeing there is, again, team play, support play. I wouldn't go away from, you know, the technical, the high skill levels, the tactical, the decision making ability. And then when you have all that, you have to be able to be a team player again. And as you said there a few times, selfless. You have to be able to give the ball to the player in the right position and you know, not go into ego and take it on yourself.
Very good, Damien. And, you know, again, folks, while space can be very, very limited, a quick hand pass or two and suddenly it can open up. And that's why we were again, we were recommending in previous webinars, you know, possession games, unopposed first of all. Unopposed in a big area, unopposed in a small area, where players just get used to firing that ball around, moving. Unopposed, then opposed. Small area, big area. And you bring that into maybe 5 or 10 minutes part of your training session, maybe once a month or once a fortnight. And then in the game, when the game is confined, you'll find the fullback gets it, he's under pressure, quick pop out to the corner back, maybe a quick one out to the wing back, and suddenly there'll be a little bit of space there that you think wasn't there before. Now, we're moving on there, Jenny, we're not too bad. We're moving on here now to a couple of inter-county clips. And again, inter-county players, folks, they're club players as well. And they were club players before they were inter-county. But in my own opinion, especially, well, I won't even say especially for youngsters, it's always good to let players see what the top players are doing. And again, we learn from good things they do, and we learn from things that maybe don't work out so well. So I'll just roll this one up here now and get it ready.
Back inside.
Now, we'll let this one roll for whatever it is, 2.5 minutes, and let's see what you see, if anything.
Paul Murphy under pressure from two Dublin men, but manages to get away initially. Gets that pass away then to Michael Fennelly. Huge man in that midfield sector. Again, the early ball. The tactic is obviously to hit Owen Larkin and hit him off and brace to Colin Fennelly. Gets it off into Owen Larkin. Goal scoring chance for Kilkenny. Owen Larkin inside. Goal by Owen Larkin. Super finish by Owen Larkin. They're trailed by 6 points to 2 as Herity. Again, a huge puck out. He's been brought into this Kilkenny team for that puck out. Great catch by King Henry at 12. Lovely low ball in again to Owen Larkin, who looks at fire at the edge of the square. Gets the half pass back to Shefflin again. Richie Powers on his shoulder. It's poetry in motion so far from the Kilkenny forwards as Richie Powers
scoring all the time. Every puck out the double hit, it's coming back to them as quick as they hit it.
TJ Reid, lovely ball this time into the corner to Richie Hogan. Hogan has nearly all the time in the world to decide where he's going to put this ball. Goes all the way across to the other wing forward, that's Michael Rice. His shot is half blocked though by Shane Durkin. That'll allow Peter Kelly to go back and get the situation under control. O'Shea Goff, the cornerback, clears it long up to that forward division. Paul Murphy breaks it down, but it goes as far as Colin Keeney. Keeney has a quick look at the beautifully caught this time by Joey Boland. Good to see him back in the Dublin jersey. Picked up by the man wearing the 6 on the opposite side. That's the captain of Kilkenny, Brian Hogan again. It's the early ball in towards the full forward line. Peter Kelly though was alert to this one. Swivels and gets it up. Didn't really look where he was putting it. And that allows Michael Fennelly to get onto the ball. Michael Fennelly has a shot in the end that's quite poor, you have to say, and a little bit of ping pong almost there, Nicky, where all the players just weren't quite careful enough when they were fuzzing the ball.
Yeah, a couple of minutes of very poor play. Joey Boland a good catch and a poor clearance. Brian Hogan something similar, and Michael Fennelly there. That was a hopeless wide when Owen Larkin had actually made a good run in front of his man against the ball.
But tidy man from Danesford clears his lines. Down in top again of McCaffrey. Richie Hogan comes looking, but the man that gets the ball is Richie Power. Lovely little pass up to Henry Shefflin. Again, he's looking to his right and he sees Michael Rice. Suddenly, 8 acres of space in Crow Park, and Michael Rice takes all the time he can. Continue to get the attention, and I suppose there's no doubt that the physicality has been up by Kilkenny in this Leinster final this afternoon. James Cha gets the hand pass off. Henry Shefflin. Lovely little depth pass out to Owen Larkin. Owen Larkin getting away from John McCaffrey has time to look at the post, get out to his right hand side, and Owen Larkin guides it.
Okay, folks, that little set of clips now, Niall Corcoran might be watching in and might say, Jenny, why did I throw those up? You're being very, very hard on Dublin. But the reason I threw those up is that, okay, that game was won, I suppose, convincingly by Kilkenny. However, 2 years later, Dublin put Kilkenny to the sword. And in case people thought it was a fluke, you know, it was a draw the first day and people would think, Kilkenny would do it the second day. But no, Dublin absolutely put Kilkenny to the sword the second day. So the point I'm making is, you never know. You never know what's around the corner with a little bit of work. And as we saw in the very, very first clips with Napirsig and Cushendall, I have no doubt that if Cushendall played Napirsig, maybe a month later, it could have been a different game. I'm not saying the result would be different, but suddenly a player will realise it was grand up to a point as a cornerback standing behind the forward. That was grand, that got me this far. But when you hit real top players, that's gone. It doesn't work. And the Dublin team will say, after getting put to the sword that day, they learned, and they learned very, very quickly. And I have no doubt in my mind that training changed and more pressure was put on players, you know, to not give space, to get out in front, win ball. And it's a pity I hadn't the clips of that match 2 years later, because, you know, I have it in my mind, but I don't have it on file, that little simple things like letting players out to the ball first, that was done away with, and suddenly a whole game can change. So, lads, I just got down through you again, and maybe you've forgotten it now because I'm after talking too much. But again, I'm looking for one thing each. If you saw anything good or not so good, that'd be worth saying to your players, yeah, guys, this is what you should be doing, or saying to them, lads, you got to sort out this. So, Cathal, I'll give you the first shot on it again there, please.
I suppose Kilkenny were putting them under a lot of pressure, but the big thing when Kilkenny had the ball, I felt, was they were very selfless and playing with their heads up, looking for the pass. Richie Hogan gave a great pass across the field there at one stage, and then in the second half there was very good running, and Shefflin gave a good pass up along the left-hand side, which I think ended up in a result near the end of the clip there. So the team play, I suppose, was the big thing that I would have taken from there, out from the intensity that they were putting forcing Dublin.
Cathal, I'll take that word selfless, and lads, that is huge, you know. And often in a club situation, at maybe your best player, if he's not selfless, you won't get the max out of him or her. Sometimes the player that gets most ball, if they're a little bit selfish, they're not maxing out. So you could have a tremendous catcher, but he or she wants to hit every ball they catch, they won't pass it. Whereas if they would just be a little bit more selfless, throw out that ball, then you get results. So, you know, and again, as Cathal has said there, many of these skills, you know, they're interwoven. You're selfless, but you need the runners, you need the ability. So they come together. So lads, we'll fly down to the rest of you there then, and just one quick thing on it there now. I want to try and get through the rest of them, but we can. I'll go through the way Adrian Mayo. We'll call in the Mayo vote there.
Yeah, just to add to Cahill's, the vision and the giving the pass at the end of the clip was very evident. We were looking up on top from the camera vantage point. It isn't always given, but it was given every time. Every ball that was on was given, and a score came off it. From the start of the clip, the long ball that you spoke about, the gaining of possession, the hand pass, and the goal by Owen Larkin, exemplary stuff, sort of textbook stuff. But that mixed with a little bit of aimless play within in the middle of it, involving Oisin Goff catching the ball from an aimless shot in around the square, hitting it out to Michael Finlay, and Michael Finlay aimlessly driving it wide. So the mixture of everything. If these top players can have an aimless and poor moments in play, the rest of us can have them as well.
That's grand, Adrian. Thanks for that. Ryan, if you saw anything, are you back on the bench?
No, you're grand. I suppose just Adrian made a touched on it there a wee bit. Just the aimless ball. There was actually, I think it was Hogan played a bad ball in, and the defender actually got a wee bit lucky from what I seen, because if that had been a good ball, the Kilkenny man was out in front. But and then the Dublin defender clearing it, you know, aimlessly out to the Kilkenny man. And I suppose the way things have went now with Dublin, as you said there, they've improved this last couple of years. There's no doubt that that full back would have been called by the keeper and looked for a wee hand pass out to, and then maybe driven it up the pitch to somebody, to a Dublin jersey. But no, I suppose that's all. It was pretty similar to what the boys seen, you know, the space that Kilkenny were making, and the selfless running, and the couple of crossfield passes and the stuff the boys in space. They just seemed to be, you know, in control of the game.
Thanks for that. Thank you, Declan. With your Donegal or your Tyrone or your Offaly eye there, did you spot anything?
No, it's just a master class by Kilkenny is all.
Okay. Keith, any particular one item there up in Cavan?
Standout thing to me, Martin, is the runners off the ball, the amount of them. There was always 2, 3 to either side of the man on the ball.
Okay. And Keith, can I ask you, up in Cavan, How would you sort out a runner off the ball?
As an opposition.
Yeah.
So that you be encouraging your players to track all the time, getting in tackle, keeping tight to their player.
It's actually simple, really. There's no magic in it. I mean, you follow them and that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and again, folks, I'm not being smart, but I am maybe in a way. You know, we have players sometimes, I'm not saying that the Dublin as we're doing it there in the slightest, but sometimes in games we get mesmerised by players running all over the place. But sure, if we follow them, well, then they won't be loose. Dara, any one item there for you?
Just some of the Dublin players getting sucked in, and Kilkenny obviously punished them very, very easily, and they were made to look brilliant, I thought. Dublin were at 6s and 7s, and Kilkenny were a team. And
that can happen, Dara, can't it? It can happen.
Very easy, especially with Kilkenny. They're known to do that in the first 5 or 10 minutes, Martin.
Damien, Galway lad, I know you won't tell us what you see. You keep it all quiet up there, but sure, throw something at us.
I have the glasses back on again now, Martin. So I think, again, look, it's very general, but the ability, the high level of skill at that level at Inter-County, again, we'd say wide and expansive. I saw a lot of that. I saw players, playing diagonal ball. I saw players out in front. I a bit like Dara there, I did see Dublin players getting sucked in. Kilkenny player draw 2 or 3, and then obviously when you draw 2 or 3, there's men free outside. So also as well, Martin, at the high level there, the Inter-County, lads sort of have the confidence to hit long ball, and they sort of trust the guy inside there to win his 50-50 ball. I think the way hurling has gone more lately, it's possession. It's heads up. You're not allowed to give away a ball. It's little short passes. But I'd like it to go back to the more traditional style where, a lad clears his lines and moves on his ball maybe 80, 90 yards and trust the boy in the forwards, in the inside line there to come and win a 50-50 ball as well. So I think it's a mix of everything, really.
Yeah, well, Damien, a mix of everything, that makes a hell of a lot of sense to me. Now, folks, interesting enough, I mean, the lads there, just meant to say earlier, I have the privilege of working with all the lads and several more throughout the country there. So the boys are a kind of a sample. We said we'd kind of pick an all-star team, but, we also have lads like Kevin Hentfee up there in Derry, and Marty McGrath and Donegal and Prunchies across there, and Ross Common, and several guys that I work with. And, the amazing thing about it is the team we have there tonight, if we sat down and we were over the team, we'd be there all night working through it, because again, we mightn't necessarily agree with each other, but it's when you toss it around and beat it around a bit, you then get to an agreement, if not a consensus. But I'm just going to go back through them here now again, and as I said, with the advantage of having had time. Again, I just want to throw things that I saw in them. You might agree with them, you might not, and that doesn't matter in the slightest. Once I agree with myself, I don't have to worry about what the boys think, but I'm joking here. The boys mentioned some of these, but the first one there, good work in defence, and again the long ball, and this is inter-county level. The long ball, it's always dangerous. If you're a full back, you're a corner back, the last place you want that ball is out in front of you, where you don't mind it being 30 or 40 yards out, and it ends up in a goal. The first
Paul Murphy under pressure from 2 Dublin men, but manages to get away initially. Gets that pass away then to Michael Fenley. Huge man in that midfield.
There's the long ball, and under severe pressure. I mean, Dublin lads that day, they got beaten, but they weren't bad. They were playing very well. Small things in a hurling match. Small things, and suddenly it can be a 10-point difference.
Sector, again the early ball, the
break there. Standing out for that break. Defender went in where he should go, where he didn't really want the ball to go, but the forward can take the chance and stand out where he might like it to drop. And it did drop.
Is obviously to hit.
You're under pressure. Once a player gets running, it's very, very hard to dispossess him. Again, the hand pass, the ability prepared to give it, the ability to give it, a player to take it, and a player able to take it.
Gets it off into Larkin. Goal scoring chance for Kilkenny.
How many guys or girls would take a shot from there? Almost on the end line. So, how much practice does that take? right on the end line almost, and one of the top keepers in the country standing in front of him. Again, it's going back to practice and striking.
Larkin inside.
Oh, good work, long ball, good support, lay off, goal. Now we'll watch the next one. What I'm watching for here now is a good puck out, a catch. All right, movement again, no panic, and very, very good use of the ball, and again strike.
By Owen Larkin, super finish by Owen Larkin. They trail by 6 points to 2 as Fogarty.
What's wrong with that puck out? It's gone beyond midfield. You know, the worst thing that'll happen that puck out is be won by Dublin and come back down the field. But you start messing with short ones, you're opening up danger, especially with club games and especially with underage lads.
A huge puck
out. Henry won that puck. He doesn't have to win it. If he could only break the ball to ground, well then that ball is up there, whatever, 30 yards from the goal. You don't have to win it. It's a bonus to win it.
Being brought into this Kilkenny team for that puck out. Great catch by King Henry at 12.
And you can't really see it there, but out in front. And it's very easy for me to sit here and say get out in front. If you're the fullback trying to mark the player, well then it's not so easy. But, you know, now no use being out in front if the touch is not good.
Lovely low ball in again to Owen Larkin, who looks at fire at the edge of the square. Gets the half pass back to Sheffield again.
Again, when the shot is not on, play the ball around. Now lads, be under no illusion. The pressure from Dublin there was tremendous. There's no doubt about it. And if the boys, the Kilkenny lads, weren't as composed, that ball would have been turned over.
Richie Power is on his shoulder. It's poetry in motion so far for the Kilkenny.
I'm not so sure about poetry in motion, but anyway. Right, this one.
Forwards as Richie Power. Scoring all the time. Every puck out the Dublin hit, it's coming back to them as quick as they hit it. TJ Reid, lovely ball.
So again, looking around. Score is not on. It could be my good friend Niall Corcoran there. He can do nothing else there. I would say that defender is doing exactly what he should do. He's not jumping in, because if he lunged in, Richie be gone around him and in for a goal. So there's not a lot you can do there other than mark space and see can you cut it off. Now, if Richie tried for the point, he'd maybe be blocked, but he puts it
this time into the corner to Richie Hogan. Hogan has nearly all the time in the world to decide.
At this point in time, there's no point in putting the ball across the field there if there's nobody around. So the players here, if they all, as a lot of club players do, congregated in around the goals, that shot wouldn't have been on. So you need players to look around attackers and say, right, maybe this ball will be hit across into space, because more than likely there was somebody else coming down along here. So that's composure, and that's everybody thinking.
Where he's going to put this ball goes all the way across to the other wing forward. That's Michael Rice.
His shot is block got in there, I think. Now,
half blocked over.
In my opinion, Dublin are playing excellently here. Okay, fullback gets the ball.
In Durkin, that'll allow Peter Kelly to go back.
Gives a good hand pass out. He had a player waiting for it. That's all top class. And again, let her off.
Back and get the situation under control. Oisin got the corner back.
We hold it there. You know, you could never say that's not a good clearance. That ball now is out of danger. And now we're looking at either a catch or a break. And I think Conal Keeley reads it very well and comes in for the break here.
Clears it long up to that forward division. Paul Murphy breaks it down, but it
comes down to whether he has the shooting ability to put it over the bar or not. And he has. Now, he mightn't have got this one, but without a shadow of doubt, he has the ability.
As far as Conal Keeley, Keeley has a quick look at the...
Okay, right, this time.
Caught this time by Joey Boland. Good to see him back in the Dublin jersey. Picked up by the man wearing the 6 on the opposite side. That's the captain of Kilkenny, Brian Hogan again. It's the early ball in towards the full forward line.
No, this is where I would disagree with, definitely I disagree with the commentary. And even the lads were saying there, you know, an aimless ball in. To me, Brian Hogan was under pressure there. And as far as I'm concerned, once he got it in around the house, well then, the forward doesn't have to win every ball. If he gets a share of them, we're happy. Plus, Peter Kelly there, the full back, he read it very, very well. And he was under pressure. Now, if he starts messing with that ball and taking that split second to try and find a man, I'd be fairly sure Owen Larkin would have dispossessed him. So he let it back out of the danger area. Then it depends on who's out the field.
Peter Kelly, though, was alert to this one. Swivels.
Clearance. From a Dublin point of view, it's unfortunate it went to a Kilkenny man. But in my opinion, I'd do the very, very same again. And, you know, it's pot luck who it goes to. Now, we'll watch Michael Fennelly with it.
Gets it out, didn't really look where he was.
He has space, guys.
Putting it, and that allows Michael Fennelly to get onto the ball. Michael Fennelly.
He drove it wide. I'd say to him, keep shooting, Michael. Keep shooting. He was inside his own half. We saw Slock Neilman in a couple of clips earlier, further out the field, and put a great ball over the bar. And folks, as coaches, you got to be, you got to back your players, right? If it goes over, he's a great fella. If it doesn't go over, it's not. No, I would say if the shot is on, you take it. And Nicky says Owen Larkin was free inside. Well, he was free with Peter Kelly standing behind him. Fennelly had a chance there. He had I would say an 8 out of 10 chance of taking the point because he's put him over with his eyes shut in other occasions, right? If he popped it into Owen Larkin, well then 50-50, maybe 40-60. So again, it's easy in hindsight say lad should have done this or should have done that, but I wouldn't. I'd keep my mouth shut in that case and say, hard look, Michael. If he shot when he shouldn't shoot, be a different ball game.
He has a shot in the end that's quite poor, you have to say, and a little bit of ping pong almost there, Nicky, where all the players just weren't quite careful enough when they were tossing the ball.
You can't be that careful at that level, lad. You don't have time to be careful.
Yeah, a couple of minutes of very poor play.
Poor play, Nicky. I wouldn't agree with you in the slightest. But again, that's just my opinion.
Joey Boland, a good catch and a poor clearance. Brian Hogan, something similar. And Michael Fennelly there, that was a hopeless wide when...
That's strong now. Hopeless, a wide is a wide. If it goes over, it's great. If it doesn't go over, unless you're taking shots from where you shouldn't take them, I'd back the player to the hilt there.
Larkin had actually made a good run in front of his man again for the ball.
Now, what have we here again? Big long puck out, okay.
But tidy man from Danesford clears his lines. Down in top again on McCaffrey. Richie Hogan comes looking, but the man that gets the ball is Richie Power. Lovely little pass off to Henry Shefflin. Again, he's looking to his right and he sees Michael Rice. Suddenly, in acres of space in Crow Park, and Michael Rice takes all the time he can. Continue to get the attention, and I suppose there's no doubt that the physicality...
So again, serious pressure here. 3 or 4 hand passes, okay. I think there could be 4 passes here before the strike if we just watch it.
Has been up. Michael Kenny in this Leicester final this afternoon. James Chad gets the hand pass off.
3.
Henry Shefflin.
And there's 4.
Lovely little depth.
No, lads, that took composure, and that took plenty of possession games, opposed and unopposed. A player panics and tries to take the shot when it's not on, and suddenly you're dispossessed. So again, it just shows the advantage maybe of working on some of that possession games in training and having the composure. But again, if you don't have the ability to hand pass it, strike it short, strike it long, everything breaks down. And then, of course, no point in having that ball out there if he hasn't the first ability then to put it off the bar.
Yes, out to Owen Larkin. Owen Larkin getting away from John McCaffrey has time to look at the post. Get on.
Okay, right, we'll fly through the next one. We'll have 2 other little clips here. I'd like to get through them if we can, lads. We won't spend as much time on them. And then we'll have a little...
Tommy Walsh tidies up though when it comes off the hand of Brian.
Now, just to make it a little bit bigger. Now, notice from some of the comments coming in that quite a few of you are able to see it fairly well at home, which is good. But if you can't, don't worry, you'll see it tomorrow. Right, away we go here with a few more clips.
Brian Hogan, Henry Shefflin, central to everything that Kilkenny are doing as well. Michael Fennelly showing the composure to lay the ball off at the right time, finding Richie Power. Richie Power looks to the right corner and asks Conal Fennelly to get onto it. Fennelly coming in around the end line. Conal Fennelly now, things are opening up here. Lovely bit of play. Super goal by Conal Fennelly. You can see the difficulty that Dublin are having trying to get the ball out of the fence. Maurice O'Brien goes long. Beautiful catch by Paul Murphy. What a game. This guy is playing as a cornerback for the Kilkenny men. Ball breaks into the path of TJ Reid into Henry Shefflin in acres of space. Shefflin shot! Shefflin goal! The man gets a touch, but out comes Paul Murphy. This guy has played very well. TJ Reid winning the ball, makes a little bit of space for himself and then sends it in again to this full forward line. Knocked away by Shoot. Breaks back to Richie Power. Richie Power, lovely control to get inside the challenge. Gets the ball off to Richie Hogan. Hogan thought about laying it up, then turns onto his right hand side, and Richie Hogan strikes it high. Gets the pass away, but intercepted delightfully there by Michael Hickey. Gets it out to Michael Fennelly. With at least a little bit of threat to that inside line. Long ball upfield. Colin Fennelly now. Things are opening at the other end. Fennelly off into Larkin. Larkin shot. Great save by Gary Maguire. Oh, top his head right now. And Dublin rise to the challenge. First time that they've got a goal against Kilkenny in nearly 5 championship matches, you could say. Meanwhile, at the other end, Richie Power off to Michael Rice. Michael Rice rises to the challenge. But I think that's going to be changed right now. Looks like Shane Wine is about to come into the game for Dublin. Meanwhile, down at the other end, Owen Larkin. The hard way with that ball, picked up by Richie Power. The ease with which Kilkenny can do things is a direct contrast to Dublin. Ball finds his way to Henry Shefflin. Shefflin tapping it.
Okay, right lads, very, very quickly. 1 point, one thing, very, very quickly, because I want to get another little set done. We'll start there. Cathal, I'll let you off again. One thing.
Kilkenny won nearly every one of the one-on-one duels.
Okay, Cathal. Right. Adrian, one thing, please.
Every time they got the ball in a dangerous position, they all headed for goal. They just turned and went for it.
Okay. Ryan, if you saw anything.
I suppose the boys mentioned about Dublin players getting sucked in, and Kilkenny were able to draw 2 or 3 men in and just give that wee hand pass out to the boys in space, and that got them their goals.
Okay. Declan, did you spot one?
Martin, I'll have to put myself on the subs bench. It froze on me there for most of it.
Okay. Declan, take a good drink of water there. We'll get you back in for the last 2 or 3 minutes, okay? You were always good for a goal when you come in after a little rest. Keith?
I got nothing there, Martin. Sorry.
That's okay. Dara?
Just very simply, first touch. The first touch from every Kilkenny player is just sublime.
Okay, Damien, any one thing there?
Yeah, again, Martin, the work rate and the support play and the team play and sort of synchronisation, the Kilkenny play there, the telepathic, they all knew where to run and where to go and when to stay. So, it's just poetry in motion there, watching those few clips there from one of the teams.
Okay, lads, I run down through them. There was one there and I just slowed it down here. I just have it at the end just to watch this one in slow motion. Long ball in. A catch. Now watch that. Now we talk about that catch, and I said it before, several catches are got unopposed. Now I don't mean unopposed that there's nobody near them, but the defender has moved away and Richie just puts the hand up. I mean, there's nobody even going to pull on his hand, and I don't mean you should, but what I'm saying is to be able to catch a ball unopposed, pucking a ball up the field 1-to-1, that's vital. And, if Richie couldn't do that there, that ball would have dropped. So that's the first thing. The long ball in is always dangerous. Now, where is Colin Fennelly going to go? Right, he's going to go out in front of him or he's going to go in behind him. Richie moves, and look, how many players would release that ball immediately and the goal's open in front of him? This prepared to give a pass, you just can't defend it. When it's given in a split second, nobody has time to close it down. If you delay the pass, that's where the rooks come. Look, it's laid off, touch, bang. Now, just back here to the start very, very quickly. What I'm looking at is long ball, good support, lay off, and a goal.
But it comes off the hand of Brian Hogan. Henry Shefflin, central to everything the Kilkenny are doing as well. Michael Fennelly showing the composure to lay the ball off at the right time, finding Richie Power. Richie Power looks to the right corner and asks Colin Fennelly to get onto it. Fennelly coming in around the end line. Colin Fennelly now, things are opening up.
Like Owen Larkin earlier, I mean, what right have you to shoot from there? That takes a huge amount of getting up against the wall, shortening the hurl and striking. That ball had no right to go in there. So that's, you can't get away from it. Other players in position.
Here, lovely bit of play. Super goal by Colin Fennelly. You can see the difficulty that Dublin are having trying to get the ball out of defence. Morris O'Brien goes long off. Beautiful catch by Paul Murphy. What a game this guy is playing as
again, long ball, a catch. Defender. Watch this by. Who's running?
Corner back for the Kilkenny men.
There you had it. Time to run, made the run, and to be able to move on the ball and pick it. Again, with TJ, if he failed on the pick, that was it. So comes back, folks, that skill of being able to pick the ball. Couldn't do enough of it.
Ball breaks into the path of TJ Reid into
This
it.
should not be happening. I'd have to say that. Anyone marking that man Henry and leaving him that loose, you know, that should not happen, but it does happen. So again, with top players on teams, you got to get somebody marking the top players. You have to do it. You cannot leave that space.
Shefflin in acres of space. Shefflin shot. Shefflin goal. And then that's a touch. Well, comes Paul Murphy. This guy has played very well. TJ Reid winning the ball. Makes a little bit of space for himself and then sends it in again to this full forward line. Knocked away by Shoot. Breaks back to Richie Power. Richie Power, lovely control to get inside the challenge. Gets the ball off to Richie Hogan. Hogan thought about laying it off, then turns onto his right hand side, and Richie Hogan strikes it high. Gets the pass away, but intercepted delightfully there by Noel Hickey.
Watch this one again. You're looking at a guy that has a lot of honours, lads. He's just outside the 21 there, and he drives this ball as far as he can hit it. It's never a bad ball. A ball up around the house is never a bad ball.
Down to Michael Fennelly. But at least Plunkett brings a little bit of threat to that.
What the long ball does is it keeps defenders from being able to do this blanket defence, and it gives chances. Now again, watching. You know, where is he going to go? What's he going to do? Ran out in front, took the break, and already players moving. So by watching these games, by playing games, you learn these skills.
All upfield, breaks to Colin Fennelly. Now things are opening at the other end. Fennelly off into Larkin. Larkin shot. Great save by Gary Maguire. Oh, Tom.
Okay, I'll close that. I'm just mindful of the time now. We'll give you this last one here, and then we'll see if there's any Q&A.
On the left corner. And Cahill Barrett, so changes as expected on both teams.
Shane McGrath getting that puck out. Down into the corner here. Dropped and then recovered by John O'Dwyer. Doubles. Looking to hit in his first shot. Hitting it well. Hitting it beautifully. Paul Murphy's the man in the green helmet. Calvin. Murphy trying to reach in. JJ's next in with the challenge. Tries to get the ball across here towards Noel McGrath. Didn't succeed. Jackie Terrell instead. Coons relaxed. Spoons it back out. And swept away out of danger. That was Michael Fennelly getting it away down. Slips it across intelligently to Noel McGrath. That's good use of possession. And then it slips past John O'Dwyer. Paul Murphy back once again. Plays it low. In as far as Larkin. Clever play. Across to Richie Hogan. His first touch. Superb performance so far in this year's championship. Back on to Larkin, and Larkin flicks it high and puts it over for his second score in the end. Tipperary take control with Noel McGrath. Trying to measure this one inside here for Bubbles to come up to. Couldn't get to it. Jackie Tyrrell instead. Moving this way and that. Huge clearance again by Jackie Tyrrell. In as far as TJ Reid. Brought down. And the final shot. Wide game.
Yeah, we're around left half forward now. Largon corner. Just switching all the time. Positions mean very little.
TJ Reid. And that one's got straight over. First point. Should have been.
Physical, but very clean so far in a great game.
Big huge one down. Paul Murphy in the green helmet. And Hogan collided with him. There's really a chance in there for Seamus Calman from Bonnermar's pass. Still might happen. Seamus Calman trying to scoop it up to himself. And he's now gone away 35 metres from the target. Over his left shoulder. And over the bar. Reid almost into profit.
And James Barry did very well. And tip backs fighting hard for that ball on the ground and doing well containing the Kilkenny forwards.
Great catch by Bonnermar. In past Jackie Terrell. Bonnermar scores.
It shows you the ability to have to come back down, and that's an important score. And important 2 minutes for Kilkenny now before half time, and Tip will be looking to press on.
Paul Murphy hitting it in. TJ Reid gathers it in. Slips it in the hot pass. Power. Scores.
Right, folks, 2.5 minutes of video there and a huge amount of stuff in it. Now, already I know my aim at the start has probably been achieved at this stage, in that you will now certainly say too much stuff, too much video stuff. And if you take nothing else out of the night other than that, how much can lads take on board? What I'd say to you, if you get a chance now between now and the Q&A, to write down real quickly the couple of things you took on board tonight. And I'd say if you took on 5% of what we came up with, you'd be doing well. Which says, do not do too much. The few clips we showed at the start, 30 seconds, man, that would be enough probably. So lads, very, very quickly now, and Dara, you might just get ready for the old Q&A there. One thing, guys, that might have come out of that's worth taking back. So Cathal, if you're going to train in a hurling team next week and you're just going to bring one thing off, could you throw it at me there, please?
I would say, even though obviously the game was, it's probably not Ireland final, it was there was an awful lot of mistakes throughout them couple of clips. Basic mistakes for players at that level. I'd say just get back to practicing the basics.
Yeah, 100%. Again, Cathal, couldn't agree with you more. You know, the top players make mistakes. Of course they make mistakes. Now you bring that down, as I said to you, you're under 12, you're under 14, you're under 16. And, you know, this game is not easy, and to constantly harp on the skills. Adrian, one thing there, please.
Yeah, I suppose a sporadic sort of play, but the game changer for me when you see him on the ball is Bonner Maher. The way he's able to leave a half-back line behind him. Them players are few and far between, so you can build a team around, or an attack around a fella like that who can break the half-back line and go direct and make scores. It didn't always end in a score, but they're few and far between from our neck of the woods, a player who can do that.
And again, Adrian, as you're saying there, it didn't always end in a score. That doesn't matter. It's about, to me, it's about trying to do the right thing as often as you can, and then what happens. It's like being out in front as a corner back. You try to do the right thing. It doesn't mean you won't miss a ball. It doesn't mean a score won't be taken on you. But if you constantly try and do the right thing, I think you will be a better player. Ryan, did you spot one thing there to take off with you?
Yeah, I suppose it just, there was some great displays of boys winning their own ball, you know, and it's a great help to any team if they've got forwards that can stand up and win the ball and take it out of the air and that. But yeah, it's probably something that we don't practice enough in training. You know, boys not even winning it, not even going for catch, and just even breaking the ball into a man's path and stuff like that. So I just thought that was great. Bonner, as Adrian said, Bonner, he made a couple of great catches, and so he did, and a few other boys as well. So
yeah, and you say, Ryan, as you said, breaking the ball. There's no point in breaking it if the other guy is not there coming for it. So let's say you're, you know, if I'm centre forward and you're out midfield and I break it, but there's no point if you haven't run in for it. And that to me, again, and when you there, there's one of these hidden skills that we have to constantly try and make our players aware of. Keith, did you see Anton Conlon, the Cavan vote there?
I'm gone, Martin.
Okay, Keith. Okay, listen, you played well, all right. Keith, we'll make sure you're on our list for the medal.
Good stuff.
Dara, did you pick up on Anton there?
Just one clip of Shamie Callan when the move looked dead because the pass was poor inside, but he didn't give up on it, won it back and put it over the bar.
Good man. I have it written down here. Damien.
Yeah, and look at Martin again, just the majority of people on the call will be club mentors, and I just like to draw back to the Magnificent Seven there, that slide we have on every night, and you had it on at the start. You know, a lot of club players won't be able to perform some of those skills at those levels, but if we constantly reinforce and constantly give them the ambition, I think they'll get a lot further. So what I'd be saying there, just from a club player's perspective, no matter what grade or what level, go back to your basics and keep the skills coached and keep reinforcing night after night. And you know, you'd be surprised with the levels that players could come to.
Yeah, I'd echo that, Damien. And again, just to harp back earlier, you know, the Schlockneil lads, a puck of a ball away from maybe getting into an All-Ireland final and maybe winning it, and Cushendall after being in a few of them, you know, and several of those players, if not all of them, if you were to ask them a couple of years ago, could they ever see themselves getting to those places, they probably would say no. Now, I'm just going to run back through this, and very quickly, the couple of points I made here, I'm just going to say the first one, bubbles out in front, the touch, and then the sublime strike. And then following after that, a long ball again, and I've shown him a few times doing it from Michael Fennelly. Okay, so...
And Cathal Barrett, so changes as expected on both teams. Shane McGrath getting that puck out, down into the corner here. Dropped and then recovered by John O'Dwyer. Bubbles, looking to hit in his first shot. Hitting it well, hitting it beautifully. Paul Murphy's the man in the green helmet. Calvin, Murphy trying to reach in. JJ's next to him with the challenge. Tries to get the ball across here towards Noel McGrath. Didn't succeed. Jackie Tyrrell instead. Coolish relax. Spoons it back out.
One coming up. Watch for the composure and the hand pass and the score and the strike.
And swept away out of danger. That was Michael Fennelly getting it away down. Slips it across intelligently to Noel McGrath. That's good use of possession. And then it slips past John O'Dwyer. Paul Murphy back once again. Plays it low. In as far as Larkin. Clever play. Across to Richie Hone. His first touch. Superb performance so far in this year's championship. Back on to Larkin, and Larkin flicks it high and puts it over for his second score in the end. Tipperary take control with Noel McGrath.
Watch here again. You know, everybody doing what they could.
This one.
Watch if you can. Killian Buckley, you know, really racing to get over here. He says, I'm going to be needed. And then we watch the long clearance.
Side here for Bubbles to come on to, couldn't get to it. Jackie Tyrrell instead. Moving this way and that. Huge clearance again by Jackie Tyrrell. And as far as Keith Reid.
The score didn't come off, but as you said, Adrian, they don't all come off, but you have to try and do the right thing. This is a very simple one coming up. Watch TJ again, like his brother did, like some of the Ballyhale lads did, running across in front for the break, picking it up over the bar. Watch that coming up.
And the final shot just gone wide, Gabe, if he's in the mood. Yeah, well, he's moving around left half forward, Largon corner, just switching around the time positions.
Just running across for the break. Pick it, gone.
TJ Reid.
Again, the Bonner, again, lads. The long ball again. Reading the break, reading the break, reading the break.
Got straight over. First point should have been, physical, but very clean so far in the great game.
Watch the Bonners. Watch him slipping in behind now. Watch him slipping in behind. You know, a forward can run where he wants the ball to go to. The back usually has to go to where he doesn't want it to go.
Huge one down. Paul Murphy in the green.
It only comes once in the match. That's all he needs.
In
a good position. Shermy in a great position. Okay, the hand pass didn't come off. And then Damien referred to it. How many of our players at that stage would hit the ground and stop? No, not on this occasion.
With him. There's really a chance in there for Seamus Coleman from Bonnermore's pass. Still might happen. Seamus Coleman trying to scoop it up to himself, but he's now gone away 35 metres from the target, over his left shoulder and over the bar. That was on Darren Gleeson a few minutes ago there. TJ Reid almost into profit. And James Barry did very well, and tip backs fighting hard for that ball on the ground and doing well, contain the Kilkenny forwards.
Catch, and again the catch. You know, to be able to do that, there was nobody pulling on his hand there. Up, grab it, and go.
Great catch by Bonnermore.
Note, I think it's Shammy outside him. That's important. If Seamus Callan came in this way, it would suit whoever is there, Noel Hickey or JJ Delaney, and who is there. But the very fact he goes out that way, it makes this defender have to think. And it gives another option for the attacker coming in, the Bonner.
In past Jackie Tyrrell, Bonner scores! It shows you the ability to have to come back down, and that's an important score. And
long ball again coming up.
Important 2 minutes for Kelly now before half time, and Tip will be looking to press on. Paul Murphy hit it.
Again the catch. Catch.
TJ Reid gathers it in, slips a little high pass.
Okay, Dara, we're kind of running heavy on the time there, but if there's any few questions coming up there, we'll take them.
Yeah, not a huge amount of questions, Martin, but a lot of comments. In fairness, an awful lot of people were involved in that discussion, which was brilliant, and they were spotting things as well as we were going along. And I was watching them coming in, and they were spotting stuff that I never spotted, and once or twice they picked out what none of us spotted. But when you played it back, we were able to see it, so that was great to see people contributing like that. There is a question for Cahill asking, did he play underage hurling?
Oh, go on, Cahill, answer it.
No, I never played hurling, never. Always had hurls at the house, but I had cousins in Ballina that used to play, but that was about it.
But just on that there, Dara, you know, again, thanks to Cahill for coming in on that. And again, you know, I wasn't in the slightest bit surprised, you know, how much he picked up there with, if you want to say, a non-hurling eye. It doesn't matter. You know, there's no book on who can coach or who can't coach. And if you open up your eyes a little bit, you're going to see things that are blatantly obvious. I mean, anyone will see a guy that's not working. Anyone see a guy that's not chasing. And the solutions, most of the solutions are reasonably easy. Now, of course, if you don't have the quality of a player, sometimes it is going to catch you. So go ahead, Dara, if you have one or two more, or if you have any, if you have none, that's grand as well.
Getting young lads to be selfless, always a challenge, Martin, but I think that was a good takeaway from tonight as well.
Yeah, selfless. I mean, to me, Dara, with that one is, you show them the examples of the top players that are selfless, and you say, look, if these guys are doing it, if Bonner is firing a ball out to Bubbles the wire at that level, you know, and Bonner could take it on himself, if they're prepared to do it, why don't we do it? So the way I look at that is you show them the value of being selfless, and equally maybe if you had a chance to take a little shot of themselves when they are being selfish and how it doesn't work out. Now, I wouldn't put that out in front of the whole panel. You know, I would take a player maybe on his own or on her own and say, look, you're catching great ball, you're winning great possession, but the fact that you won't throw it out, we're actually getting nothing from it.
There was one question come in here, all right. How would you convince lads to believe that a long ball is worthwhile, Martin? They see all the short stuff and are convinced it's the only way to go.
Well, it could be very smart and say you looked out there tonight and you saw teams winning with plenty of long ball, and I would show them plenty of clips, and I could have done it, but I wouldn't like to do it, of where a lot of short ball causes teams to lose the game. And equally so, Dara, it does depend hugely on the players. Like if I go back to it, and we mentioned that on the goalie seminar, you know, we had Owen Murphy, one of the top keepers in the country, telling us that sometimes the short puck out goes wrong for him, and he's pucking out to top class defenders. Now you bring that down even one level, two levels, but bring it right down the line, and your keeper is not a top class keeper as regard, you know, he's not an all-star keeper, he's an ordinary, honest to God club hurler. The players he's pucking it out to, they don't have that ability. So, you know, to me, one of the first things you do with the opposition is you try not to let them score. And if you can keep the other boys from scoring, well, then you're going to draw the match at least. So every time you do something risky, you're drawing them onto you. And that would be my take on it. And how so many of the top players and the top coaches, you know, listening to him O'Shea a couple of weeks ago there on a webinar, and again he said, keep it simple, keep it simple. So that would be my take on that.
Okay. Do you have any drills for ground hurling? I know you have loads, but you might talk about the importance of doing a ground hurling drill every so often, Martin. Yeah, well, I would do one every third night at least, and we have them. We had them on the coaching and managing the team there the first night. They're up on the web there. I think it is workshop number 1, and we'll send out the links there again tomorrow. It's a very simple one. It's lines of 4, and I'm sure Declan Sherlock there would have seen the Offaly boys do it for years. And it's not that you're trying to get players pucking every ball on the ground, not by a long shot, but when the time is right to do it. Lines of 4 up and down the field, or lines of 4 across the field, or lines of 3 working the player in the middle. Very, very simple, really. Declan, do you want to come in on that for a second, if you can still hear us?
No, Martin, I would agree. Being able to tap off a ball, particularly moving, rather than going through the whole take it in the hand and then looking for somebody. As Damien mentioned earlier on about John Troy. John Troy was brilliant at that stuff. Moved the ball on really quickly and got scores from it inevitably.
Yeah. And I'd be very strong with younger players that haven't got the skills to a high level of rising and striking from their hand. And if they're insisting on rising, they're not going to be able to do it because it's going to be taken off of them. If they're not great at striking from their hand, you know, even when they have the ball in their hand, they're going to be closed down, they're going to be blocked, they're going to be hooked. Whereas if they get proficient on the ground first and be really good on the ground, they will enjoy the game, they won't be frustrated. And then little by little, you know, I mean, look, I can remember a great coach down here, Jimmy Nari was his name, and he trained as a school teacher, Eddie Brennan and James Ryle and all of those fellas, and he brought his school to 13 Rhine finals in a row, which was unbelievable, and won a share of them. And his mantra was, get them good on the ground first, that they're moving the ball, and if the ball doesn't come up first, you move it off on the ground. If you haven't room to strike it out of your hand, you don't even raise it. A couple of simple things like that. And you talk about nurseries, and you talk about, you know, player pathways. Well, the pathway that he had, you couldn't say that it didn't work, because I don't know how many inter-county players came through his hands. And, to me, what was good enough for Jimmy was good enough for me. And that was his methodology. And then bit by bit, you work on all those skills. Okay, Dara?
Okay, Martin, this is in from JR. I think as a coach, to recognise the assist or pass that set up the score as much as the scorer is recognised. And I guess video can help in that way, because we often remember the score, but we might remember the tackle or the turnover or the puck out that set it up.
Well, Dara, I'm glad you mentioned that, because again, I took the title tonight. I was wondering what to call it, and I took it from the little Camogie booklet last week, developing a coach and I. And that is so important, that we can all look out in the field and we can see the player that's driving this ball and catching this ball and doing the nice stuff. However, as you have said it there, are we aware of the player that lays off the pass? And that could be with a hand pass, it could be with a flick, it could be with a hook, it could be anything. And that's where the coach and I comes in, that between yourself and your mentors, that you're valuing and seeing those essentials. You could have a defender that never hits the ball, but he or she are getting the hooks in, getting the blocks in, getting the little flicks in, and maybe keeping a very, very good player scoreless. Now, how many people see that? We'll say that the hurler on the ditch doesn't see it really, and the player might not be fancy, but doing an essential job. Somebody mentioned there earlier about being able to break a ball. If you don't have players able to catch, especially high ones, but if you have a player able to break it, and you have another player intelligent enough then to be in on that break, that's developing, that's the coach and I. Okay, Dara?
Just one last one, Martin. There's one here that came in, I guess, kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it has a quote from a club mentor saying, just because you see it on the telly doesn't mean you can do it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Dara, I would think too many of us watch too much television, and we're watching, as I said earlier, we're watching these sublime players of the top quality. And even with this clearance, trying to put it across the field, wing back has it and he says, I'll try this diagonal ball across the field. But, is he or she able to strike that ball 70 metres? Are they able to strike it 70 metres to go in between two poles 10 yards away? And then are they able to hook it over maybe a centre back that's in the way of it? So for certain, we watch too much television in that line.
Martin, I might just come in there for a second, if you don't mind, Dara.
Sure, Damien.
It was just a point I had earlier on there was, all the young fellas around the country are watching the TV and the top player. And then we're below in local fields in rural Ireland or in parishes. And, the kids won't be at the skill level, but I think we have to give them the ambition. And we have to let their imagination go wild, and we have to create little scenarios there that's going to stimulate them and keep them psychologically focused for us. So, when you relate back to a game on, if you're down the local field on a Tuesday night and you're coaching you've seen the game on Sunday and you're in the field on Tuesday night, and you can relate back to, lads, did you see TJ Reid's catch? And you can build the ambition in the young fella, and then you say, we're going at catching now, and that's the sort of thing. So they've got the visual and they've got the model of best practice. And I think then it's our job as coaches not to decide that they're not good enough to do anything. I think we need to stay at it and go back to that magnificent seven again.
100% Damien there. Okay, Dara, anything else there?
Yeah, one just came in while we were talking there. Do you think there is let me read this first before I do it. When you're watching it live, sometimes you're only watching the ball and not watching the match. That's a fair point too.
It's a great point. And Dara, I mentioned the notebook there earlier. It makes a huge amount of sense to have a notebook in your pocket when you're at matches, and they needn't even concern your own teams. And you're watching for those little things. As I have said to you tonight, the people looking in, if you did it 5 minutes ago, write down, what did you learn tonight? What did you see? You'll only get a fraction of it. And unless you have, you get a chance to look back on the video tomorrow or later, you'll see things then, oh, I forgot that. So I would always say, between yourself and your management, write down all these little snippets, all these little nuggets that are worth considering. Now, you can't bring everything to the field, you can't do everything. But when you have them written down, then you can highlight it. That if you find, for example, look at lads, our guys are fouling foolishly too much, and we tackle that. Or our guys can't strike. They can't strike far enough on both sides. We work on that. The rising is letting them down constantly. You know, I mean, if players are insisting on rising the ball, they won't pull on the ground. Well, then make sure they're absolutely 99% perfect at it. That at least they're able to get it up quick and move away. Because every split second that's lost is going to cost them. Okay, Lara, sure.
Yeah, let's us up.
Sorry?
No, that's them all gone through there now, Martin.
Right, but you look at, lads, we probably went on a little bit longer than we had intended to hear. I'd just like to thank all the lads for coming in there and giving their expertise, their opinions, and hopefully you'll all get something out of it, folks. Look at, this is the last of our, I suppose, practical workshops. Next week, we're having what should be a very, very interesting one, is we're looking around the world, and we have people in from various clubs across the world, New York, London, Argentina, etc. And it'll be an opportunity for ourselves, I suppose, to see what life is like in the other field. And we look forward maybe to several of you coming back in there. And other than that, all the best when you get back to the fields in a couple of weeks' time. And if you remember not only the Magnificent Seven, you'll be doing fairly well. So thanks there to Adrian and Ryan and Declan and Keith and Cahill and Dara and Damien. And Cahill, I think, get that hull ready. Your phone will be hot tomorrow there now. Be lads looking for you to sign you up.